The African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, in collaboration with Open Society Africa, hold a day-long meeting focusing on conflict, closed spaces, and coups in the continent. The one-day meeting centers on bringing to the attention of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, its commissioners, and the African Union about the AU member states that are on the brink of instability and conflict, where rights violations are prevalent and need to be addressed. The meeting further focuses on building African citizenry solidarity in those respective countries and support human rights departments that are under threat and amplify their voices and requests for their rights to be respected. It also marks the 35th anniversary of the Commission with a clear and united voice in reaffirming their commitment to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the Democracy Charter, which is 10 years old since coming into force, and the 20th anniversary of the AU. Ms. Hannah Foster, Executive Director of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, says there has to be a way of dealing with conflicts in Africa as it continues to affect the continent negatively.
Conflict has lived in Africa for a very long time, and it really is a cause for concern. We believe that there has to be a way of dealing with conflict, but up to now, we have not been able to crack that code. We talk about civic space. Civic space is also another concern to civil society. Yes, both COVID and conflict have adversely affected civic space. If I may say that COVID has indeed exacerbated the negative impact that conflict had on all of us.
She says post-election conflict has also triggered the continent and that it is everyone's responsibility to find a solution to the conflicts in the continent.
Yes, that are affected by conflict. Egypt, they are almost fighting because of the dam, you know. So there are so many triggers or drivers of conflict around us. How do we deal with them? We cannot expect other people to come from somewhere else, from Mars, to come and sort it out. How do we, together, find solutions to it? The other issue that we might want to think about is what lessons have we learned? Because post-electoral violence also has been a trigger in this time of conflicts. We've seen some countries that have been able to organize free and fair elections. We've also seen some who had a semblance of getting some semblance of free and fair elections done in this post-COVID climate. How do we ensure that the democratic era continues? It is our own responsibility, our collective responsibility, to make sure that we find solutions.
Meanwhile, George Kegoro, Director of Policy and Engagement Open Society Africa, explains the reason for the event ahead of African Commission ordinary session.
Do our work. So hosting this side event ahead of the commencement of the African Commission is an attempt to lead from the front in ways that we have not necessarily previously done, but which is part of the ambition that is represented by our transformation. We welcome to the meeting today colleagues who have come in from a number of countries, including Eswatini, Guinea, Ethiopia, Sudan, Tunisia, and Burkina Faso. Those are colleagues that we have whose presence today is the result of a deliberate arrangement that we've went into with them. So we welcome all of those that I've mentioned, particularly because the countries that I mentioned are going through crisis, very active crisis at the moment, and their presence today hopefully helps them to talk about what the experiences that they are going through and they're involved in, and hopefully helps to create a sense of solidarity and provide information on those crises, and we hope that engagement will today and throughout the coming sessions will help in, first of all, creating a better understanding of what they're living with and what they're going through. But secondly, will help in providing solidarity for what they're going through. And thirdly, some kind of leadership in addressing the crisis will also emerge as a result of the interactions here today.
The meeting highlights the challenges that the African continent faces, given that many AU member states had either revised their constitutions expunging term limits or engaged in constitutional tampering, which guarantees term elongation. The issue of coups making comeback and attendant conflicts continue to infringe on the rights of African citizens and threaten the lives and livelihoods of many, particularly women and children. Reporting for Kerr, Fatou, this is London Cisse.